a retro ramble with.
This episode is a first for a retro ramble, as we have two special guests at once. Their reviews of ridiculously priced items and console makeover catastrophes are hilarious to say the least. Their dry sense of humour makes their channel essential viewing, and the story of the exploding PS2 is one you don't want to miss. It gives me great pleasure to talk to Ben and Chris, the duo that make up the Grumpy Retro Gamers.
Well, I think your story behind this is probably going to be more than mine, Ben. I think mine is literally, it starts and ends with Dad got a computer. That's it. Like, literally it. Yeah, yeah.
I think my earliest memory, was really my dad had an Atari 2600 left over from the 70s. And that's my earliest memory of video games. And I don't remember playing on it as such, but my first system I got was a ZX Spectrum for my bedroom, sort of in the late 80s, I think. So that's where I started off, really. One of the first games I played was Chucky Egg. That's still one of my favourites on the Spectrum. So
I think everybody started off on the Spectrum, especially, obviously I don't know how old you are, but for me it was like the BBC Micro and then at school, and Spectrum or 64 at home.
Yeah, pretty
I've
much.
never played.
You've never played a what, sorry?
Never played a Spectrum. Never played
Ever?
a Commodore 64. No, never. And I'm never going to either. That's just out of spite. I'm never going to do it. Because a few people have said, no, you have to play that. And I think, no, I don't. So I'm not going to do it.
So what was your generation then? What got you into it? What computer was it, or console?
I guess my first console was a Super Nintendo. And my dad had at the time it was like a proper beast. It was a powerhouse because it could run Doom.
Okay.
But but yeah, it was like this window. Like now it's a piece of crap. But back then it was. I was the talk of the town.
Ironically, the old PCs now are worth a lot more money because people are buying them up.
Yeah, we got rid of that.
So how did you meet then? How did you get together?
I'm not sure when or where we met, really.
I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Well, we must be mates going on 15, 16, 17 years.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, best part of a decade and a half, at least. Yeah.
It's got to be the pub.
It just interests me because obviously there's quite a gap between the Spectrum and the SNES. So obviously you were into gaming a lot earlier than Chris was.
I think I was born a lot earlier than Chris was, really.
I didn't want to say that, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that much.
No, it wasn't. I was born in '79, so that is a natural, introduction, really, with the microcomputers. And I know that Chris is very fond of the Super Nintendo, and so am I. So maybe that's where it started. I'm not sure. I just don't know when exactly we met or how it all came about. Really, just so long ago.
In the midst of time.
If I'd known we were going to get asked a question about it, sort of, a decade later, I'd have. At the time, like Bath's not very big, so you're only ever sort of two people away from knowing someone you'd never normally meet. It doesn't take much to meet people. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it was a pub we.
Yeah, most likely. I'd put some money on that. Yeah.
So, obviously you do videos looking at eBay items and things like that. Does it take you a long time to look into the background, finding all the listings, etc. for the videos?
Yeah, that's why we haven't done very many of them.
Yeah. Sometimes we get sent screenshots from other people on Twitter a lot and email and stuff. So that sort of does the first part of the work for us. And then I guess it's with the the sellers respond ones where we have to we actually send messages to sellers and we wait for the responses. That's the longest. That takes the longest to prepare, and that's why we've only done a couple so far.
Yeah. Do you ever get any? Sorry, Chris. No, I'm going to say, do you ever get any responses? I know I've seen some of the responses when you've questioned their listings. Do you ever get any that threatening or anything like that because you've called them out on the videos?
The odd swear word. I've had a couple of people respond. They either we've messaged them before and I just haven't remembered. I don't remember. But I've had a couple of people just reply FR, whatever. It's like straight away they shut it down, and then they don't respond to anything else. That's only happened a couple of times. Most people, if they're gonna bite, they'll bite. But again, that's sort of for every 10 messages you send, you get. It doesn't.
It's interesting some of the things that you find because the listings, especially the allegedly graded ones, are just crazy prices. That's what I enjoy watching. Just some of the ludicrous things they post.
They get a lot of attention from us because they are that ridiculous. And
yeah, maybe really we're part of the problem. We're
Yeah.
amplifying it.
yeah,
Oh,
They probably sell it after you highlighted it because it's famous.
I hope not. They deserve it.
If that's the case, I'll put a bullet in my head.
Or just delete the videos. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I might try it.
we'll
I
do
might
that.
post something really ludicrous, get it onto your show, and then see what happens. See if anybody buys it for 10 million or whatever it is.
In fairness, if that happens, 10 million, I'm fine as long as we get a cut.
10%.
You want, yeah.
The
I'm a
finder's
hypocrite.
fee, yeah.
Yeah, if the money's coming to me, I don't mind if there's a bit of cash involved.
So, apart from your eBay listings, you obviously do other things as well. I was looking back on your YouTube channel because I've literally been following it about 2 years now. It was my friend, the guy who I met actually, who got me into you guys. Said you've got to see these because they're really funny. When you set out on YouTube, is that the way you wanted to go, or because I noticed some of your early videos were like playthroughs?
I think we wanted to start out as a sort of let's play channel, from what I remember, but then we quickly realised that the whole world and his wife does let's play videos. It used to be quite a niche thing, I guess, when certain big channels that are now big, when they started out, they were doing them, and it's quite a niche concept. But so many people are doing them now, and I just don't. It didn't feel like that people. That's not what people wanted to watch from us. So it sort of evolved into the more sort of chat orientated kind of videos.
Yeah.
That's my memory of it anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we started out doing let's plays. We like scripted intros. Over time, yeah, exactly. Over time, we stopped scripting stuff and just sort of see what happened. And the channel itself changed as well, in a very similar way. Now, there's absolutely no planning at all. Except say some of this stuff. Do you want to talk about it? That's it.
But I think that's what makes it so attractive, though. It's a lot of the channels now are too scripted. They're almost like TV programs, and it sort of detracts from it.
I think somebody once said to us that I think it was a comment either on Twitter or one of the said if you guys learn to edit a bit, then this channel could look really professional. I don't want to look really professional. It is what it is. It's two people that are just doing what they do anyway, but there happens to be a camera.
Yeah.
We've been having these bollocks conversations for about a decade and a half. It just so happens now they're on the internet. Like nothing's changed.
Just not had a camera there.
Yeah.
I suppose as well, it's like you say, there's so many channels now do this playthrough with split screens and games and stuff. It's like it's everybody and the dog does it, like you say. So it's good to see something different. I've not seen many people looking at eBay listings or stuff like that. Not on YouTube, anyway.
Yeah, maybe that's the attraction. I hadn't thought of that really. I do wonder if there'll be any copycat ones if the videos get more popular. But yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point.
Imagine copying the bollocks. Imagine that. How devoid of ideas do you have to be?
Well, when that happens, we'll know we've made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to it, yeah.
Don't they say copying is like the greatest form of flattery? I thought it was something like that.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So that when that happens, you know you've made it.
Yeah.
And when that person sat on a throne of, and we're not, yeah, I feel really good. I'll tell you what, they're good just about eBay. You know, like at the beginning of the pandemic, like lockdown 1, the original, people started buying up toilet paper and stuff and selling it on Facebook Marketplace. I tried to like message some of those and just like with the similar sort of sellers respond kind of thing. And I think the reason the sellers respond videos work with regards to eBay videos is these people genuinely believe that their copy of Zelda on the Game Boy Advance is worth 10 grand. Like, because the people flogging toilet roll, they didn't care. They said that I couldn't use any of it because the message I get back is, yeah, I'm taking the piss, man. If some mug gives me 10 quid for one roll of toilet roll, that's their problem. But these people that respond on eBay, they genuinely believe that the little piece of crap item to pick up at like Play Expo for 2 quid is worth 100 grand. Clear big box. That really frightens me.
I wonder if they ever sell it. I wonder if they've ever sold anybody with that side. Because I know you see them completed, but that doesn't mean they necessarily sold for that price.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of the sellers sort of they do false transactions to make it look like things have sold for a certain amount. So when you check the sold listings on eBay, it's just sort of artificially inflating the value of your goods. That's what they're doing. So it's not a valuation site at all. You should never use it to value your stuff. It's just a guide, really. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of them do that.
Oh, definitely. What always winds me up is when you go to car boot sales and the first line is, well, I've checked on eBay, and you just think, yeah, keep it, because...
Yeah. Who's bringing 300 quid to a car boot sale?
CEX, yeah.
Yeah,
They just use dice to approach price.
We quite like CEX. We're big supporters of...
Yeah.
Well, the one in Bath, anyway. But, yeah, they have said that to me before. It was like Pokemon Leaf Green or something like that, and they were selling it. It was like 60 quid for car only. That's a bit steep. And he just got very honestly said, "Oh well, I checked on eBay." I was like, "Right, I'll see you later."
Did you not say? Do you not know who I am?
No, they know who I am. I'm a guy who he built out of. I figure often it's easy for me to get out before I end up just. I'm the problem.
Speaking of problems, Chris, I watched one of your videos. Did you blow up your PlayStation 2?
Oh yeah, no. So that was knackered anyway. I couldn't get it to. It was temperamental, so whether it would turn on or not. And I didn't really know what to do with it. It's with the guy that dude in that video is a magician. He's got like stage effects. He had a load of sort of miniature plastic explosive, and it's quite frightening and quite intense. He said, "Do you want to blow it up?" I kind of felt like I had to say yes.
Were you scared?
Of him, yeah. He took me to the woods. I can sort of say this now in case he watches this. He did end up frightening me a little bit. But yeah, he took me to the woods. He wouldn't tell me where we were going. He said, "Oh, I just know a field. I know a field." Saying that, I think, all right. It turns out he did tell me his real name.
That's a bonus.
Catfish again. Yeah, he took him to a field and just says, "Look, I filled it with explosive." I didn't really know whether it was going to be real or not. But yeah, I mean, he genuinely blew it up. Explosives, which terrifyingly, I think he made at home. Which is... And then I saw him once more and never again. I don't know where he is.
So let me get this right. You met somebody who was a magician, who was good with like pyrotechnic, who made explosives at home, who wanted to take you to a field to blow your PlayStation 2 up, and you agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I figured I'd met him a couple of times before that. Like, he did a magic trick on me when I worked at a pub. It's amazing. I don't know. I just sort of trusted him because of that. I don't know.
Was it hypnotherapy?
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Like, I don't know. He guessed a card. He had a card burned into his fingers that I picked. I know he did it now, but at the time, like, it was pretty. I mean, I was knackered. I'd had a couple of beers. It was pretty amazing. But actually, you know, I'm a little older and a little wiser now. I don't think. Based on a magic trick. Where's he getting the explosives?
To be honest, I just thought, you know, in 200 years' time, when Time Team come to dig that field up, and they'll like find remnants of a PlayStation 2, they were like building a massive computer game shop that used to be there, and it was just some bloke who blew it up in a field.
Oh, I quite like that. If I'm responsible for doing over Tony Robinson's successor, I'll take that.
Oh dear. I can obviously see you've got an arcade in the background playing Mortal Kombat. Are you into arcade games as well? Did you used to go to arcades when you were younger?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was like my family always used to take my family and friends' family and birthday parties used to go bowling. Now I still don't like bowling. I didn't like it then. I didn't really like hanging around with a load of kids from a school class. You're forced to be with them. Think of the monkeys about them. But there was I loved that. I would do anything if there was an.
Does that same for you,
back
Ben?
Same. Back in the day, I'm not sure if anyone else remembers, but it seemed to be almost every shop had an arcade cabinet. Remember, the local fish and chip shop had a Street Fighter 2 cabinet in the corner, and you just don't have that nowadays. It just doesn't happen. And the days are well gone. Yeah, down at the DVLA as well. It's everywhere. They were everywhere. Pinball tables were quite prominent in pubs as well. I love pinball. That's my thing in terms of arcades. But yeah, you just don't think you really see. Yeah, you don't see them around here anymore very often.
No, same thing. Local. Sorry.
Is that true? An arcade machine, like a chip shop?
Yeah.
How have I? When did this stop being a thing? How is it? Is that real?
Yeah, our local chip shop was the place where you went to play arcade games. Space Invaders, Pac-Man, all them were in chip shop. So you'd play with all your mates. As one bloke could get a tray of chips, and you just steal all their chips and play arcade.
There's definitely one in my local. Definitely.
That is mind blowing. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, those were the days.
What year were you born, Chris?
85. So like, not that. I'm not that much younger.
Thought you were going to say 2000 or something.
No. That's amazing.
You probably spent most of your time in fields blowing things up and not looking at chip shops.
Strange men, yeah. The strange men that showed me a magic. God, no, it's been said out loud. Like, I feel like I'm lucky to be alive.
Did you actually have like a dedicated arcade in? Is it Bath where you say you come from? So.
Yeah, there was a place called.
Quasar, didn't we?
That's it. Yeah.
Like Laser Quest place.
Yeah.
Laser Quest, yeah.
That was awesome.
The building is still there. The signage is still on the front of the building, but I'm not sure what it's really used for anymore. Obviously, not much at the moment because everything's shut.
It's university accommodation.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
Which is, I mean, they could have at least changed the name. It just brings back memories.
Yeah.
There's no
I just long
arcade
for
in
it to
there.
be back.
No laser quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you look back at Laser Quest and Quasar, I don't think they probably get away with a lot of it nowadays because health and safety. Shoving kids into a black room with an ice machine and lasers.
Yeah,
That's a
health
good
and
point.
safety. We didn't care about that back then.
Yeah.
Just didn't matter.
Or is it they just locked the doors? It was just free for all.
Yeah. There were no emergency buttons or anything. Like you were literally, you couldn't breathe, you couldn't see, and there were red lasers buzzing about everywhere. That's my memory of Laser Quest.
Yeah, and the ground floor was like a dingy sort of. It was all arcades on the ground floor, and I think the Laser Quest thing was upstairs, was on the top floor or something. But yeah, it was nice and dark and dingy sort of arcade room downstairs. Yeah, remember it well.
Yeah, I think a lot of them were like that. We were talking about it to somebody else on an interview a few weeks ago about you could always tell the well-played machines because they'd have like the normal buttons, but they'd also have the button at the side where the guy or lady with the cigarette had just had it in the fingers and let it burn the button next to it, so it were all melted.
Nice.
Oh, I remember those buttons.
Yeah, they were always on the edge, the ones that never got used.
We used to get the really fancy cab that had an ashtray on the end.
Yeah.
Really fun. Like, that is classy, that.
Oh,
Were they the upmarket ones?
Yeah. They were the later models. You get an ashtray on the end. Beautiful. Yeah. Nice.
So what would you say your favourite arcade game is? Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 2. I'm terrible at it. I'm terrible at all fighting. I played it.
I'd probably go with the same, to be honest. Got fond memories of that when arcades were still around. I could never get on it because there was like a crowd of people around it. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favourites. Mortal Kombat 2, one of my favourite games in general. I had it for the Mega Drive when it came to the home consoles. That's what I had. My friend had a Super Nintendo, but I had Mega Drive at home.
Yeah. The Mega Drive version had the blood, I believe, but the SNES had the green, didn't it? You had to put a code in or something like that, was it? I remember.
Yeah, or I think that was for the first one.
Yeah,
All right,
the
so
second
they
one.
kept it in for the second one.
For the second one, they just went all out, I think, and yeah, they didn't. I don't think even Nintendo worried about the gore element for their version for it. But for the first Mortal Kombat game, there was a code for the Mega Drive version to unlock the blood, but there wasn't one for the Super Nintendo, I don't think.
Did it have blood in the Super Nintendo then, or was it taken out altogether on the first
Not
one?
as I remember. I think it was just grey dust.
Oh, yeah.
I might be wrong.
Yeah, no,
but
it was. Yeah, that sounds very familiar.
So all the characters had been kept in a cupboard and it was just dust coming off of them.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 2 reminds me of I live near Sheffield and we used to have an arcade in Meadowhall, quite a big arcade because it's like a big shopping centre. And like you say, it used to be winners stayed on, so you'd have all 50p's lined up, and whoever was better at it used to play forever. And my brother was really good at it. I was terrible. I hated fighting games, so I weren't very good at them. But I suppose one of my favourites is Daytona. That's what stands in my memory at the arcade.
Yeah. Oh, no, great shout.
Yeah, good one.
I think it's just because at the time it was one of them games that you knew you weren't going to get at home. Like, there were conversions of like Pac-Man, Space Invaders and stuff, but things like Ridge Racer and Daytona until the PlayStation came out was you were never going to get that conversion, I think, and that's what attracted people to the arcades.
Yeah, some of the versions, the home versions, they just were not the same at all. Like, obviously, and it's not even quite the same thing. Yeah, that's a good example, I think, with the racing games, because it's not quite the same experience unless you actually buy the steering wheel peripherals and everything like that. But even then, it's still not the same.
What did you say? Sorry, Chris?
But they're about 200. As well, like a proper steering wheel and pedal setup. Yeah, it's like it's the one time you don't feel like you're getting ripped off.
Yeah.
continuously putting a quid into an arcade machine that exists solely to take another quid off.
And built to do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you remember Silence, that like a quality arcade game that had like a proper sniper rifle with like a screen in the scope?
Yeah.
They released that on home, and I never understood the point. But if you haven't got, but the whole point, the whole gimmick of that game was the sniper, surely.
Yeah. It's a bit like the Val d'Isere ski one. With the skis, you go left and right.
Did that didn't get released on home consoles, did it? Did it? What's the point?
I don't know. I think it it didn't come with a set of skis, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's I think as well it goes back to the, especially in the early days, you use your imagination more so to fill in the gaps of how different the arcades were to the games that you got at home.
Well, I suppose back then there used to be far more games arcade, and now it's the other way around. So I own more stuff now.
I gather you've got a lot of SNES stuff and Nintendo stuff then.
Not a lot of SNES stuff, weirdly. Probably not a lot of Nintendo stuff, to be fair.
I think I got
enough.
The Mega Drive, Sega stuff. Got a lot of Sega stuff behind me. A lot of Mega Drive, Dreamcast. I love the Mega Drive.
I love Sega. Sega arcades were always the ones that blew me away the most. The Dreamcast, I think that's probably my favourite console of all time.
Yeah, excellent console. I'm always sort of still collecting for it. Really, the Dreamcast. Quite fond of that, and it was one of the sort of got quite close to the arcade feel when that came around. It was quite pleasing at the time.
Definitely the most closest to the arcade at the time. I always thought Sega had the shiny graphics, as I called it, which were like really polished, especially Daytonas and stuff.
Yeah, I was quite surprised that did look good on the home console at the time.
Yeah. So, what was your favourite home console then? Would you say the Super Nintendo, Chris, or is Xbox 360 by look? You've got a lot of games for that.
Yeah, I sort of feel like a bit of a fraud on a retro game. Only because I don't own a vast amount of retro stuff. I own like stuff, so like arcade, like that. But yeah, I've got more Xbox stuff, like across the generation than I have anything. Which I hadn't actually noticed.
You're a fraud.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's funny because I was watching your latest video about where people put in things that not everybody agrees with. So where like people say that's not right, or a bit like with retro that the PlayStation 2 or 360 or whatever isn't classed as retro, and it causes massive debate. What do you class as retro, or does it not? Do you not bothered about it?
I think personally, I'm not that fussed. Well, I mean, actually, honestly, personally, I wouldn't give a shit. But I guess for the sake of argument, I think Ben and I have discussed this before, and it's sort of 2 or 3 console generations prior starts to count.
Yeah.
And also, then when you think these are like 40-year-old men that are saying that's not retro, but like for kids, the first console they would have had when they were a nipper was a Wii, and now they're going to university. And well, for them that's retro.
Yeah.
It's relative.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It depends on your own experience and the way you've grown up, and ultimately it doesn't actually matter. It's really not worth getting upset about. Personally, that's just what I personally think. Retro doesn't actually mean old anyway. It doesn't really have an age to it.
Yeah.
It's a style, I think. It's not. I don't think it's necessary. means something is old. It's not what retro actually means. I don't think.
Yeah.
You'll get cancelled.
Thumbs down, City, here we come.
Yeah. The comments have been absolute bloodbath.
Yeah. So if you never see my channel again, thanks for the help there.
Yeah.
They will be hanging out in the comments.
The thing is, I totally agree. Retro and nostalgia, I think, get confused a lot of the time. At the end of the day, every console at some point is going to become retro. That's just time moving on. So does it really matter? The argument's null and void, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I also think it's a weird thing to like actually argue about. So the stuff that people will like argue with each other about. Imagine that is something old enough described by this word. Having an argument over that sentence. That is mental.
It's because... Sorry, Ben.
I was saying it's a bit territorial, isn't it? It's don't know, it's really not worth getting too worried about or even falling out with people about, which I've seen.
Yeah.
We've all seen it.
It's only because there's nothing going off in the world at the minute, so we've got to argue about stuff. There's not like any pandemics or anything, so we might as well argue about retro.
Yeah, may as well find something to get upset about, as everything else is right with the world, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, I will say there are a load of people that will use the last 12 months excuse for arguing about pointless crap. And they're the same tossers that were doing it 2 years ago as well. You think, well, there was no pandemic then, and you were still whinging because somebody said the original Xbox was retro. You weren't happy about it. It's words. Don't worry about it.
No, it is true that I think it's just, especially for me and Ben, that generation of arguing in the playground, which system was better. It's like Spectrum, Commodore 64, or Atari, or Amiga, or Mega Drive and SNES even. I just think we're not happy unless we're arguing amongst each other.
That's probably true.
That's fair. We're humans and we need things to argue about. That's what it is.
Say, I do quite like a Barney as well. They are.
I've not noticed on your channel at all that you're just like winding people up.
It's close to my chest.
Modern gaming, I can obviously see that you're into that, Chris. Are you into modern gaming as well, Ben? Or
Yeah, the extent it stopped. Well, I am to the extent of I have a Nintendo Switch. That's my modern outlook on gaming. I don't have any other consoles of any recent generation really. With Sony, and I don't really bother with Microsoft at all. That's Chris's area. He's the one there. But with Sony, it's PlayStation 3 is the most recent thing I have. But modern gaming, yeah, it's definitely Nintendo Switch. That's my area.
and obviously, Chris, you like your Microsoft Xbox by the look of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of try and justify it, but yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I just like video games. I quite like things. This is going to sound really, really pretentious. It's not supposed to. Just don't think there's another way I can put this. I quite like experiencing an evolution. You see what I mean? There's no way I can say this where I don't sound like a pompous arse.
Don't worry about it. It's not stopped you before.
Got you there.
Perhaps, yeah. That's what I do. I sit around just judging. Yeah, I don't know. I like old stuff and I like new stuff, but often for an entirely different reason. But I think it fascinates me. Video games, with regards to trends in how games are made, like checkpoint systems, and manual saves, and auto saves, stuff like that. It fascinates me to think that one day somebody decided on that for the next years. It was just a staple. It all seems to come back around. Now there are a lot of really difficult retro throwback games you can get on mod. Yeah, I think I also just like having a house full of crap. That's probably the main, because I mean a lot of it is crap. Most of it is crap.
To be honest, I used to collect a lot of games as well. I look back at my old videos from 2012 when I did room tours, and fortunately, like, life gets in the way. You have kids, etc., so you have to get rid of stuff, and that's what happened. But now I've got my trusty Amiga, and that's about it. Everything else I just use emulation for the ease of it and for the not having to set stuff up. So I think it's each to their own. If you like having that round you, then it's your choice, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, which we seem to, yeah. Got bit in our rooms with nostalgic nonsense, but yeah, it's each their own, like you say, isn't it? So
yeah.
Back to people getting upset about things. You mentioned emulation, and I've seen people getting upset about that as well. You should have the original hardware, which I do. I personally do like to have the original stuff, the original hardware. But you need to emulate something because the value is so astronomical at the moment. Then yeah, emulate it. I mean, how else are you going to get to experience it? It's better that you do experience the form of that game rather than shelling out hundreds of pounds for it.
Yeah, I totally agree. At the end of the day, if you don't like emulation, don't download the emulator. As simple as that.
Yeah. It's obviously not for you.
But the prices are something. No video game is worth 200 quid. Like,
no.
As fun as it is, no game is worth that. Like, no game is worth 100 quid. I'll even go that far. Games are fun, but they're not. If you're spending 100 quid on a video game cartridge, you're a mug. Particularly if you can just emulate it and get the savings. Yeah. And if anyone says you don't get the savings,
it's definitely getting out of hand. I think the value of it's definitely getting out of hand. I think some of the value, quote unquote, of some of these games. I think that's why we started the video series with the eBay sellers, just see if we can make a difference, bring those values down. Yeah.
Is it working?
I don't know. I hope so. I hope they don't ever sell this stuff for thousands of pounds. It's just not right.
You mean you haven't done a spreadsheet and done some trend analysis from when you started to see it dropping?
It's just too upsetting.
That's a lot of planning as well. We don't do that.
I think the irony is as well that emulation will be the one thing that keeps these games and consoles in people's minds in 50, 60 years to come, because all systems are going to fail at some point. Even media will fail. So
yeah, especially
cheery talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah. Especially the cassette tapes for these microcomputers as well. They're not going to last forever. They're designed to eventually expire anyway. They certainly won't be around forever. Absolutely not. So if you can emulate it, at some point we're going to have to for certain titles, aren't we?
Yeah, and if you like collecting the consoles, then fine, that's fair enough. Don't get me wrong, that's why I kept the Amiga. There's just nothing like playing the original, be it the smell, the sound, the noise. I totally get that. But when you want a quick blast on something, you just stick it in and away you go.
Yeah.
That sounded a bit rude, but it didn't mean to be like that.
I'm so innocent-minded.
The other thing is as well, I think Chris touched on it on the video, your TV's only got like 2 or 3 ports, and if you're having to scramble around back to unplug everything, trying to plug something in, it's not fun unless it's already set up.
Yeah. So I think back in the day people just didn't have like 20 consoles on the go at once. You just had, like, say, the Mega Drive in the lounge set up or whatever it was, and that's it. So that's what you played on.
Yeah.
But now it's a lot of effort to switch everything around, and if you wanted a session on a certain console, it's a bit more effort involved. We're really lazy, aren't we now?
Everything's too fast. Life's too fast, so we want it here and now, and which, ironically, with the updates on some of the games nowadays, you don't get. It was quicker to load Spectrum game than it was to download a 2 terabyte update.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, I do miss that. I miss that from back in the day. Be it like buying a game or getting a game on Christmas morning, putting it in the console on Christmas morning, playing the game on Christmas. Now you a game on Christmas Day and you're playing that Boxing Day, your internet is not super fast. Yeah. So you're playing it in the evening if it is. It's mad.
Yeah. It makes you wonder what you've actually bought on the disc or whatever. Because is it just like a key to say you're allowed to download it, etc.?
I imagine so. Yeah. I think genuinely that probably is. That's probably not far off.
2K file.
Yeah. God, that's what I own.
The sad thing is as well, with a lot of the downloadable stuff, when the servers go away, then they've gone. I was talking to somebody the other day and they said perhaps the history of games will literally be like archive.org that keeps servers going to allow you to play the games that no longer run by Microsoft or PlayStation.
That's a really good shout.
Yeah.
So yeah, companies going out of business, their games just disappear, or license the games disappear from storefronts unless you own that.
It's
sad.
It's very sad because even stuff like, and it's happened already with like Disney Infinity and all those, they've gone. You can play them yourself, but you can't enjoy the full game if you like.
Yeah.
So quite sad.
I guess back in the day with the cartridge-based games as well, when you did buy a game, it was a finished product like this, but the developers have done with it, and they go, there we go, we'll put it out and see what happens, sort of thing. You were buying definitely a finished product, whereas nowadays there's patches and updates all the time. I think that's the main difference. I don't think you get it so much on some Switch titles, but obviously with current Xbox stuff, I hear that they get updates all the time, and then the huge patches as well, huge downloads.
Yeah. I was going to say, there's a game that doesn't come out until next week. Pre-installed it a week ago, like 111 gig. And then yesterday, like it's not out, and yesterday there was a 47 gig update for it. Well, I haven't played it once. It better be good.
Yeah. You just downloaded the intro. You didn't download the game.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, exactly.
Just the tutorial, that was.
I mean that I agree, and I think that for better, in some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse. I think back in the day, if you bought a cartridge, you bought a finished game. Someday, I mean that is often for better or worse. But there were no. I think the cynic in me says that games are just rushed out and unreleased in an unfinished state these days, and then they're just fixed after the money's been spent. And I know that is the case often, but there are good guy developers. You know, they'll put out a finished game and then they'll just keep improving on it based on feedback. Whereas if you bought a shit game on a cartridge on a Mega Drive or a Nintendo, crap, that was it. It was crap.
Rise of the Robot.
yeah, there we go, exactly. Rise of the Robot.
I know we've not mentioned Cyberpunk 20, whatever it is. I think that is a classic of releasing something that's not even been started. I don't think game-wise.
I'll tell you what, it worked on my Xbox. That was a great game. I loved it.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, but I've got a Series X, so I'm like
dropping names now. Got a Series X.
Yeah, it was great on that. And apparently on PS5 it's also brilliant. But yeah, for the consoles it was actually developed for. Like I'd be pissed off if I only had.
Didn't they pull it from PlayStation Store though because it wasn't loading? There were a lot of glitches where they like heads just appearing in random places and stuff.
I mean, to be fair, I sort of looked past a lot of that on the Xbox, but there are. I mean, it's still not. It's not perfect.
Yeah. You probably enjoyed that.
Yeah, in fairness, it was entertaining.
But I do agree with Ben. I think Nintendo have more control of what they release and when. They probably would hold it back until it was finished, not just get it out, because obviously I think they value their brand probably a bit more than some of the others. I don't know.
they've done it with Metroid Prime 4, and that's been pushed back indefinitely. We haven't even seen any of it, just because the statement they released said it wasn't in an appropriate state. They changed developers.
Yeah, and now it's
I'd
been
rather
quietly
a game
forgotten
gets
about.
released yeah, I was going to say that it hasn't been mentioned for a long time.
I was looking forward to that actually. I do. I enjoy the Metroid Prime series. I've got GameCube. It's one of my favourite consoles. I've got the Metroids for that. They're really good.
I'm not, and you're probably going to hate me, but I've never owned a Nintendo, so I don't. It's not the way I went.
Fine.
You've got some great experiences ahead of you. You should invest.
It's interesting because again, you either went two routes. I sort of went C64, Amiga, PC, and that were it. That's my gaming history. I've got Xbox One, not the Series X like Mr. Show Off over there, but it does me for what I want. To be honest, if I bought an Xbox, the Series S, I'd probably use it for emulation because I don't. So, what game would you advise me to play on the Nintendos as a first game?
Oh,
Bloody hell, that's a question.
wow.
You can't just spring that on people.
If we're talking GameCube, I would probably start off with the Metroid ones. They are quality games, and some of the I know people will probably laugh at this, but the Mario sports titles for the GameCube are excellent. They're just excellent. We played one of our first videos on the channel was the Mario Smash Football.
Yeah, watch that.
Which we should probably do again. That was a lot of fun.
I don't know. I won the last one.
Such a great game.
I don't want to lose.
Yeah, I would start there, and obviously the Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker for the GameCube. Yeah, another good one. A lot of the Sega titles are really good. Monkey Ball and the Beach Spikers volleyball. It's really good. Yeah, I would start with the GameCube personally. If you've never had a Nintendo.
I've played Super Monkey Ball on others, but a lot of people say the mini games are better on GameCube.
Yeah, for the sequel, I only ended up playing the mini games with friends and stuff. The main game just got ignored.
Yeah, just play the
mini games are great.
Is it Monkey Bowling or something like that? Somebody said.
Yeah, there's bowling on there. There's billiards as well, I think. Tennis. I think there's monkey tennis as well. So.
Alan Partridge quote.
Yeah.
You've just made that up, haven't you? There isn't monkey tennis on there, surely.
Monkey tennis.
And obviously you don't like the bowling part of it then, Chris, because you don't like bowling apparently.
No, I like Wii bowling. And I didn't know that Monkey Ball had Wii bowling.
It's great.
I didn't know it had Monkey Tennis either, so I'll be picking that up.
I'm going to play that now just to see it. I do a thing called systems I've never owned and play games on it. Like just do a video with it with my mates. So I'll have to try that out and see how good it is. So. I've noticed a video you've done recently around consoles that have been adapted and sold as custom consoles. That was a funny video.
Yeah, I think we've done two. We've done one or two. We do two of those videos, Chris? Was it just one we've done?
I think we've done two.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we've done two now.
I'm 90% that we've done two. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being upset that we had to do it again. The last time we did it, which would suggest that we've done it, but maybe I just liked it. Although,
some awful images.
I laughed at the one. Sorry, Chris.
I was going to say I do have a Game Boy clock.
A Game Boy clock.
Somebody's turned a Game Boy into a clock, and they sent me that for a joke.
I bet
now, I've got it up.
I bet you really bought it, and you just make it out that somebody sent it to you.
See, that's the kind of stuff that starts rumours.
It's only liable when it's not true. That's what I've been told anyway.
But then I will see you in court.
I was laughing at the was it a PlayStation? Yeah, that had got Mortal Kombat on it. And I think one of the quotes was, "It looks like it's been in a room where somebody's been smoking 20 fags a day." Because it was like that yellow.
Yeah, it was going to look like yellow, wouldn't it? Like, it really upsets me that I know exactly what console you're talking about. I shouldn't know. Nobody should know what that console looks like.
It should come with a disclaimer that you might not be able to get this out of your mind after you've seen it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think my favourite was the Mega Drive with the Sonic the Hedgehog painted on it. That was just... I'll never get over that. I'll never get over that. That's horrendous.
Do you ever look on Facebook Marketplace for like... One of the things I've noticed is when people put on like Commodore spelled Commadore, there was one, a Commodore Commuter, and it was an Amstrad CPC 464. Do you ever look at those?
Facebook Marketplace is quite the place, really. It's quite yeah, there's so much on there, not even to do with video games necessarily, that catches my eye, and some of the things that people put up for sale. There was one, this isn't even video games, but there's someone who posted a picture of a wooden pallet on a pavement, and it said "free to collect." Well, yeah, it's just on the pavement.
Yeah.
Don't worry about going through the rigmarole of going through Facebook Marketplace. Just leave it there and someone will take it eventually. What's the point of that? It's free. I don't need to contact you about it. If you see something in the street that just says a label on it that says free, then you can just take it. You don't need Facebook Marketplace for that.
I see. That's what I see something free. The first thing I do is check Facebook Marketplace to make sure it is free.
Yeah, and then you contact the person who posted it. Oh, can I take this?
They say, "No, you're second in queue." Somebody's collecting it.
God.
Excuse me. Facebook is an amazing place for people selling stuff. The thing that also annoys me is when people put it's free, but then in the comments it actually says it's £12,000 or something. So
yeah, not free.
Yeah,
not actually free. Yeah.
That's the opposite.
Free, open to offers. Well, that's a bit of an oxymoron, really, isn't it?
Next time on a Retro Ramble.
Suite full of iMac G3s and iMac G4s, and it was open till like midnight, and no one had used it after about like 4 or 5 p.m. and I lived on campus, so I'd go in there on the evening, or on weekends, on Saturdays I could go in there on a Saturday afternoon, but the only one in there. I remember having probably about 20 or 30 Macs, all with Napster running, downloading tracks, and they all had CD writers in them. So
I would just like to say a big thank you to all the special guests who took the time out of their busy schedules to appear on Retro Ramble. It is really much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode of a Retro Ramble with. All links to the special guest channel can be found in the description below this video. If you enjoyed watching, then please like and subscribe and click the bell notification icon to be informed of when the next episode is uploaded.